Mixed messages. Bitcoin gets a boost amidst the realization that no one really knows what's going on. Ethereum looking good? Some big numbers are heading in the right direction, suggesting that maybe Tom Lee isn't as crazy as we all thought. And it's gone. Drift Protocol loses its crown as April's biggest exploit as KelpDAO sees nearly $300 million walk out the door. Is this the end for DeFi? And we'll have Lewis talking TA, tweets of the week, dates for your diary, and the handsomest men in crypto. This is the Coin Bureau News, live.
GM, boys and girls, one and all, and welcome back to another episode of the Coin Bureau Weekly News live stream. Joining us today on a day when Bitcoin is above 75K. We seem to have a bit of a tentative piece in the Middle East. And my name is Nick. Guy, how you doing? How you feeling, man?
I'm okay, thanks, Nick. I'm okay. I'm wondering who these handsomest men in crypto are supposed to be. I don't.
Who are they?
Where are they?
Who on earth is that? Crypto has handsome men. Who are they?
Maybe they'll be joining later on. Who knows? Maybe we've got some surprise guests.
We'll try and get them on as a guest feature. But yeah, we've got a lot to talk about today, of course, including what the hell is going on with Bitcoin. We had a massive rally on Friday, the pump and dump that it seems to have petered out on the optimism that we chatted about on FUD and FOMO on Friday around potential deal here coming in the Middle East. We'll also be looking at whether Ethereum is potentially looking good right now. It seems to have recovered quite a bit. It's recovering vis-a-vis Bitcoin. And Tom Lee is bullish.
Really? You surprised me, Nick.
Shocking to think that Tom Lee would be bullish on ETH these days. And then, unfortunately, some bit of bad news. If you thought that the Drift Protocol was the biggest hack in crypto, it was. It's unfortunately been outdone again over this weekend.
It isn't even the largest exploit this month.
And it seems like the same people. If you thought that Kim Jong-un and the DPRK were done with their April Fool's joke when they hacked Drift 2 weeks ago, no, they weren't playing. They came back for more, and this time it's bigger. So we're going to be talking about that, of course, and we'll be looking at Lewis with the TA, tweets of the week, and much, much more besides. But guys, please, before we dive in, don't forget to fire up those likes. Guy, do you think we can get 500 likes in the stream today?
I think we could if we prompted people every few minutes. So if you don't want us to do that, hit the like button now, get it done, and then we won't have to bother you throughout the stream.
Until we get those 500 likes every single 5 minutes, I'm just going to stop the stream. Going to have to go and pull out the cards. Hit the likes, guys.
We've tried the carrot. It's time for the stick.
Yeah. Okay, guys, fire it up and don't forget to... That doesn't get you to hit that like. I don't know what will. So roll back to Monday. Let's go and take a look at Monday last week and take a look at what's happened in the Bitcoin in the markets. So if you recall, Monday last week, there was the Strait blockade. Now, it wasn't just Iran that was having a monopoly on traffic in the Straits of Hormuz. It was Trump now coming out, and he said he's going to blockade any and all ships coming from Iranian ports on Monday.
Yeah. Now Bitcoin started showing signs of life around this. It seemed to be sort of getting off on the geopolitical uncertainty for a change, and got to above 72K.
Yeah, and then there was more talks of potential the discussions being revived, and this sent oil lower, and then Bitcoin back above 74K.
Yeah, it was all getting a little bit exciting. And then, Nick, you were right, as ever. The CME gap, which you flagged on last week's stream, duly went and got closed.
Old reliable, old faithful. She'll never let you down. Those CME gaps, I really can't. I mean,
there is still one. There is still that sort of elephant in the room down there. But we won't talk about that.
Yeah, but at least we closed the one to the upside, and there's another one waiting for us as well, which I'll get to in a bit. Then optimism on the Iran war continued as potential talk of an extension of the ceasefire.
Yeah, and Bitcoin got back above 75K. It was all getting a bit giddy.
Here we go, man. Trump, of course, a bit distracted from the Iran war, coming back to threatening to fire Powell on Wednesday.
If it's not the Pope, it's Powell he's arguing with. It's one of the two. He likes to just wake up and choose violence against someone else.
Exactly. In between his intense discussions about the White House ballroom, the new White House ballroom.
Oh, yeah.
Thursday was actually
the real story here.
The real story. That's what really matters. That's what the American people want to hear about. What's happening with the White House ballroom. On Thursday, there's some good news.
Mr. President, when is the ballroom going to be ready?
That's all we want to know. Who cares about inflation? I want to know. I want to see that beautiful ballroom you're building. Thursday, though, good news for crypto. Morgan Stanley, if you recall, they launched an ETF 2 weeks ago, and it drew in its first week. It accumulated $100 million worth of inflows.
Yeah, I think they went ultra low on the fees in this one, didn't they? I think they're undercutting even BlackRock quite significantly. So that would perhaps partly explain that. They weren't the only TradFi dinosaur lumbering into the cryptoverse either. Charles Schwab has also got involved too.
Indeed, this is the $12 trillion Charles Schwab, and they are now going to allow, with what quote Schwab crypto, retail investors can get access to Bitcoin and Ethereum. And then, can you believe it? JP Morgan, of all people, is bullish on Clarity, and
this is so surreal, isn't it? This is really surreal. Yeah, JP Morgan has suddenly flipped, just really pro crypto. It might have something to do with the $3 trillion their private permissioned blockchain is processing every year, but maybe not. But anyway, that takes us to Friday, and Nick, what was now apparently called the Strait of Iran was open.
The Strait of Iran, the Strait of Iran is now open, and that sent the market sharply higher in terms of crypto. Oil collapsed, obviously. This is one of the biggest falls in oil ever.
Yeah. Wow. I'm sure a lot of people have made a lot of money on the oil trade over the past few weeks, but I mean, just the nerves of steel you'd have to be trading that market right now. It's just so volatile.
Yeah, no, it's insane. And, I think that we'll come back to this in terms of like insiders made a bit of money on that initially. But Bitcoin did rally. We broke through 70, we got as high as 78K.
Wow. It was all starting to feel a bit 2025 2025 again, wasn't it? We were all starting to get a little bit excited.
We're so back. Yeah.
Which of course takes us to the weekend and to Monday. I mean, the good news was still there. ETF inflows are back. They're still performing well. I think we flagged this on FUD and FOMO on Friday, but we'd had 3 consecutive days of inflows. But they just continued to get stronger.
That was in and this was the weekly inflows are the biggest since I think the beginning of the year, since January. So that's great to see. But unfortunately, it turns out, and if you recall on Friday afternoon or Friday evening, in conjunction with the tweet about the Strait of, quote, Iran being open, Trump also said that Iran vows never to close the strait again. Well, I mean, that again, in this context, probably meant less than 24 hours because Iran promptly closed the Strait of Hormuz on Saturday. And this was because of the fact that the blockade was still in, which kind of makes sense. It's like, okay, we open the strait, but if you're still going to blockade our ships, we're not going to keep it open. So anyways, that turned out it wasn't open, and Bitcoin completely and utterly retraced all of its gains from the pump.
It was fun while it lasted, wasn't it? It was nice revisiting those days when you wake up and all those green candles, and then back down.
The bot formation.
Yeah. Oh well. So, which takes us sort of to today. Markets are a little bit edgy, I think, because as we alluded to in the headline, I think it's fair to say.
Wait, before that, mate. Before that, we can't catch a break. Before we took it to today, something else happened over the weekend, Guy.
Yes. Ah, yes. Just the small matter of $293 million going up in smoke.
Yeah, so this is the story. I mean, the guys pulled it up on the screen just earlier. You guys can put it back there. Yeah. So we'll get back into this. This is going to be one of our stories, of course, this massive hack. But that happened on the weekend. And yeah, the markets are on edge for today. But no matter what's going on in the stocks, current currencies, commodities, the Straits of Hormuz, war, geopolitics, Saylor is going to bid.
Saylor is going to bid,
chart.
yeah. Has he actually
chart,
bought
guys.
yet? Is anyone watching Twitter to see whether he's got?
He has. He just bought right now. I mean, we had a tweet. I don't know why it's not there. You guys should. Yeah. Okay. So anyway, Saylor bought he bought as well. This is just prior to this. Let me just pull it up one sec. It's let me just see the exact number. It was 800. No, he acquired 34,164 BTC or $2.5 billion worth.
Right. There we are. One of our faithful viewers has commented it there. So now holdings well comfortably over $800,000. Congratulations, Mr. Saylor. That's great.
There
news.
We go.
I wonder if he's going to have another party this year. Ben Cowan went to the one last year. Said it was pretty good fun.
Was there one last year? Was that one that was for the New Year's party? I think there wasn't one last year. I think there was one the year before. I think so.
Gosh, time moves so quickly.
Yeah,
so what's to come, Nick? What can we look forward to this week? Presumably, it's all going to be fairly boring. Nothing much is going to happen, and we can all relax, right?
Nothing much at all. Just a question of whether we're going to go back to a full-out war in this region because the ceasefire deadline is Wednesday. So we'll have to see what's going to happen with markets. I mean, stock markets. I don't know where we're at right now. How we opened. S&P is actually up right now, which is interesting. So it's not open yet. Sorry, the market's open in a bit, like for 12 minutes time, like 60 minutes time, and the futures are looking a bit down. But just taking a look at the Bitcoin charts very quickly. On the weekly chart, which you've been tracking for the past few weeks, is actually looking pretty good because we've closed above the previous resistance level between 70 to 72K. It's our third consecutive weekly close in the green, so that's good. We are now just above the Bitcoin cost basis for ETFs, so could act as a nice support. So we'll have to see where we go this week. And we've also, by the way, had this MACD crossover, which I've been pointing out for the past 2 weeks, where previously we had this MACD crossover last year. Bitcoin actually rallied by say 30% post that in the weeks that followed. So that's looking good. And then of course, over the weekend, because of the pump and dump, we've got our old faithful, all reliable CME gap back, and it's a big one. It's about a $3,000 gap between where we closed on Friday and where we opened. And also, it slowly started to. That chart took that chart screenshot a bit earlier. We're already slowly starting to close that gap.
Okay. Gosh, we've got to make the most of these CME gaps while we still got them. Okay, so folks, if you're feeling bullish or bearish on Bitcoin or anything else for that matter, and you want a top tier international exchange to trade on, then you have to check out 2Bit. Okay, they have a solid interface. They've got deep liquidity. They've got competitive fees, Nick, and onboarding is super simple. You just need an email address, and then you can create an account and explore the platform straight away. How's about that?
Yeah, pretty sweet, guys. And like I said, all you need, pop that email address in. First of all, scan that QR code and the link down below. Pop that email address in. Have a play around the platform. See how great it is. And if you want to trade and you want real cash and you want to deposit, you can get up to 90K in trading rewards and that VIP level 1 upgrade. And that's 50% off trading fees for life over on 2Bit. So guys, go and hit that QR code right now and take advantage of that amazing offer.
Lovely stuff. Okay, now something strange has been happening over the past few days, Nick. There's been stirrings of life, and they've been coming from none other than ETH. How about that?
Pretty sweet. I think we've got an image to. There we go. Ever faithful AI has drawn up an image I really enjoy drawing up these images for the stream on Mondays. Here, basically, it's captured. It's actually pretty good AI generated image. This one captured everything that how we feel. It seems to also
it doesn't
capture
make you
unbuff,
look really old and tired, which is a nice change.
Finally, not like broke in a bar, like our life is ending. We finally look like we enthusiastic again about things. So, anyways. ETH is looking good. ETH is looking good, yeah. And for one, I mean, on the fundamental side, Ethereum processed a record 204 million transactions recently. So quarterly transactions hit 204 million in Q1 of 2026.
That's right. That's right. And it's not just transactions as well. Active wallet addresses surged over 1,700% quarter over quarter. So in Q1, there were 284,000 new wallets created on Ethereum.
Wow. Yeah. And the biggest catalyst here is tokenization. For one, Ethereum processes over 60% of all tokenized real world asset value, with the likes of BlackRock, Franklin Templeton, and JP Morgan all running tokenized funds on the Ethereum network.
Yeah. And I mean, if we're talking about tokenized assets, then stablecoins are the biggest one of all. Stablecoin supply on Ethereum has reached an all-time high of $180 billion worth. That is up 150% over 3 years. So, you kind of got to say, it's like, as far as stablecoins are concerned, Ethereum is the kind of default settlement layer. Okay, Tron processes a heck of a lot of USDT transactions, but Ethereum is still far ahead.
Yeah, it still dominates. And you guys will never believe this, but yes, Tom Lee is bullish and he sees it going above 60K, guys. So
I saw that headline and I thought he must be referring to Bitcoin. I was like, why is he talking about BTC now? No, he thinks ETH could go above $60,000. Did he give a timeline on this?
When did I'm just take a look at the article? I think there must have been.
Here's where the catch is by 2100.
Probably on its way to 60,000 if his market thesis is correct, and later described 62,000. No, it's not just 60,000. He described 62,000 as a fair value scenario over the next few years. Few. I don't know. He didn't define few there. How many years is few in Tom Lee's book? To be fair, guys, when I said few, I meant maybe a few decades, the years.
Did I? Oh, yeah. Was I not clear enough? Yeah, I said a few decades. Yeah. So 60K ETH by 2100. Sure. I'll take that.
Cool.
I'll take that.
Love it, Tom. Cool, man. Good, cool story, bro.
Oh dear.
Anyways.
I mean, okay, yeah. As we said, Ethereum is looking pretty good right now. Those metrics are definitely heading in the right direction. I'm trying to think. I know tokenization is going to be big, but what is the catalyst that he thinks is going to take ETH to 60K?
The market realizing its fair value, guy. That's his fair value analysis. So the market one day is going to realize, wait a second, ETH is fair valued at $62,000. It's going to reprice upward because these valuation metrics, everyone on Wall Street tracks these valuation metrics, and they'll all of a sudden realize one day that Tom Lee's assessment of the value of Ethereum is the most correct assessment, and they'll bid it to $62,000. But in the short term, and back in reality right now, the ETH BTC ratio did find a bottom, and it is looking pretty good here because we are now back in this previous distribution zone for ETH BTC. And it has had 3 solid weeks of gains, and that appears to have been a market bottom. So that's good.
Yeah. Certainly any turnaround in the ETH BTC ratio will be good. ETH's price itself is not doing too badly. I mean, given some of the shenanigans in Ethereum's DeFi ecosystem that have been happening over the last few days, ETH itself has actually stayed pretty steady.
It has, and I think a key level to watch here, ETH for ETH as well, is this above $2,500. That's another previous very strong distribution zone, and there was resistance levels above 2,600. So if we can manage on the weekly, get above and close above $2,500, then it has legs beyond that and potentially leading to a short squeeze. So yeah, if you guys are keen to trade ETH and catch that short squeeze and make some massive gains on that long as ETH rallies to $62,000, then the best place to do that is over on BitGet. Sorry, wrong link there. We should have taken that out. But BitGet is obviously a cryptocurrency exchange, but they also have BitGet TradFi. So if you don't want to trade ETH and you want to trade tokenized gold, stocks, etc., then you can also trade it on BitGet. All you need to do is deposit USDT, and you can trade directly with that up to 500 times leverage and deep liquidity and low slippage. So if you don't have a BitGet account already and you want to create an account, you can do so with the QR code on the screen or with a link down in the description. And if you do that, you potentially could avail yourself of up to $50,000 in deposit bonuses as well, exclusively to the viewers of Coin Bureau. So go and take advantage of it while it's still available, guys. Now, it brings us, unfortunately, to the talk of the day over on crypto Twitter, and indeed every project's worst nightmare, the KelpDAO crisis. So, Guy, what happened?
Yes. So just as everyone was kind of digesting the full implications of the Drift protocol hack, which I'll remind you was a little over a fortnight ago, at the very beginning of April, and we still have quite a few days of April left. So the month isn't even finished. But yes, so an attacker basically managed to drain 116,500 RS-ETH tokens. This was on Saturday. Now, this was roughly 18% of RS-ETH's entire circulating supply. And those RS-ETH were worth approximately $292 million at the time of the exploit. And RS-ETH, RS-ETH is the, if you like, the kind of native token of KelpDAO. It's basically, as the name suggests, restaked, a token representing ETH that's been restaked. In order, I'm sure people are familiar with the whole restaking thing. KelpDAO itself is built on top of EigenLayer, which was a restaking protocol everyone was getting very excited about back in 2024, whenever it was. Yes, liquid restaking was something is kind of a big deal. Something that a lot of degens have been using for yield. And it's now not looking quite so good. So we'll take you through kind of the mechanics of this, because a bit like the Drift protocol hack, it was pretty damn sophisticated, as you can imagine.
Very much so. So how did it work exactly? Well, it relied on LayerZero, a bridge exploit mechanics. So essentially, it exploited a flaw in the IZ-receive method of Kelp's omni-chain fungible token, and on the bridge, and it forged a cross-chain message that tricked LayerZero's messaging layer into believing a legitimate transfer instruction had arrived from another network. And that spoofed message triggered an unauthorized release of the 116,500 RS-ETH to an attacker-controlled address. Yeah. And the most importantly here is that bridge integrity for LayerZero relies on a so-called decentralized validator network, or DVN.
Yeah. Now this is as Nick says, this is important because these the members of the DVN, the decentralized validator network, they're independent validators that confirm the validity of a transaction. Now, LayerZero gives protocols using it the option of how many DVN signatures are required to confirm a cross-chain message, and the minimum, as you can maybe imagine, is one. So, one signature from one entity. And Nick, I want you to just take a wild stab in the dark here and have a guess. How many signatures do you think KelpDAO had chosen to have from their DVN?
Well, so I assume because the Drift one was two of three or something, that 5. They would have taken what?
I think Drift was 2 of 5, wasn't it?
205, sorry, 205. I'm sure that knowing that and seeing that, the KelpDAO team would have realized we needed to have more stronger multi-sig procedures, and they probably would have gone for something like a 5 of 7 or something, right?
I'm afraid you're incorrect there, my friend. No, KelpDAO had 1. So all that was required was 1 signature. The minimum number of signatures was required for this, for this transaction to be confirmed, for this cross-chain message to be validated. 1.
We're not a serious industry, bro. Seriously, what the hell?
I mean, we're really not. And it gets worse, because this is something that came up when we were researching that we've got a video coming out about this later today, which goes into all of this in a lot more detail. But one of the things we found when we were researching it was this had been flagged up before. This was flagged in some Aave governance forums over a year ago, back when they were evaluating whether RSETH was okay to be used as collateral on Aave. So someone, at least one person basically said, well, okay, but is the fact that KelpDAO uses 1 of 1 signature from the DVN, is that not a bit of a problem? And apparently it wasn't.
Man. Anyway, so what was the immediate reaction from this? So, well, there was an RSETH DPEG, the tokens stranded across multiple different chains. So it came under immediate pressure as the drained bridge reserve had backed wrapped versions of the token on more than 20 different networks. And these include the likes of Base, Arbitrum, Linea, Blast, and Scroll. Yeah.
So there was a lot of concern that this was going to spread and contaminate the rest of the DeFi ecosystem. And it's worth pointing out, Nick, I don't know if we've mentioned this yet, but when these RSETH were taken, they weren't, and this is another aspect of the hack that's so clever, the exploit that's so clever. They weren't immediately taken off to a DEX and dumped, because of it, the attackers would know that would impact the price, the slippage would be crazy, etc. So they then took these 116,500 RSETH. They took them to Aave, V3 and V4, Compound and Euler, and basically used them as collateral to go and borrow some pristine, nice, clean ETH, which they were then able to basically make off with.
Yeah, I mean, smart move. But given how complicated the hack was initially, I mean, I wouldn't have expected anything less from our friend, the DPRK's best. Now, the impact has actually had a massive impact. The impact has had a fallout in other DeFi protocols, not least of which is Aave. Aave froze RSETH markets on V3 and V4 within hours of the exploit and had already deposited the stolen RSETH as collateral. So they borrowed it, like you mentioned. And this has now led to massive collapse in Aave's TVL.
Yeah. I mean, Aave's TVL, I think, was something in the region of 26 billion. So, I think Aave is, probably going to survive this, but it's certainly not good. Compound was affected as well. Euler, I mean, over $280 million of bad debt was generated across these protocols. And as things stand, it's the protocols, it's the Aave's, Compounds, and Eulers that basically have to eat this.
Yep. So, I mean, what's happening now in terms of the community reaction? Well, firstly, Justin's son has jumped in, of course, no doubt. Never a good crisis as Justin's son won't let go to waste. But he jumped in and he's offering to negotiate with the hacker. So he's telling the hacker, how much do you want? Let's just talk. So, yeah, I mean, given that it's DPRK, I don't assume they're very keen on talking.
I would. Do you know what? I'd have to really respect it though if they replied and said, "All right, why don't you come to Pyongyang? We can talk there. We'll get on a flight to Pyongyang."
On His Excellency will come on a state visit to North Korea.
Yeah. Justin's son has been quite busy recently because he was also out calling out World Liberty Financial. The beef there is one for the ages between
deep there.
and World Liberty.
But and more questions are swirling, of course, in terms of how the hell this happened on LayerZero, and if the problem is deeper than that. Because remember, our team actually done quite a few of these comprehensive posts on Twitter over the past few weeks, guys. And if you guys want to get in a breakdown of exactly what's going on with these complicated hacks and all the other crypto and general market updates, feel free to follow our Twitter there as well. But essentially, it was a decentralized validator network that was not decentralized, and it had essentially, the way they were able to do this was they poisoned two RPC nodes. So these are basically nodes that are used for people to query the state of a blockchain. They poisoned them with bad binaries, essentially software. And then they also, not only that, they knew that there was contingencies in terms of other decentralized RPCs. So what they did was they also, at the time of putting in the poison code, they also went and DDoSed. So basically denial of service attacks on the other nodes. So LayerZero was tricked, and it was reliant on only these two nodes, which gave it false information about the state of the blockchain, and allowed for a fraudulent transaction to go through. So the question now, of course, is how on earth did these hackers manage to get this poisoned malicious code and binary code onto these RPC nodes? That's a whole other question entirely. But yeah, the fallout is also spread to Solana, right, Guy?
Yeah, it does. Yeah, and there are, like we alluded to earlier, there are concerns that this sort of contagion is wider, is going to spread wider. So we will have to see how this turns out. I mean, it's a terrible. It comes at, as these things tend to, it comes at the worst possible time for crypto. As I said at the top of this piece, we were still kind of digesting what happened with Drift. The market is in the doldrums anyway, and then you get something like this come along, and we laugh about it in a way because it's kind of gallows humor. But I mean, getting over $500 million have basically been vaporized this month. And when I say vaporized, I mean basically shipped off to North Korea to fund their weapons programs. And it's terrible for those affected, and it's a terrible look for the space as well.
No doubt about it. So we actually covered this over the weekend as it was happening live on the Coin Bureau Club in our research feed. So we've got researchers over there, crypto native researchers and TradFi researchers as well, who share updates regularly if you're a member of the club. But yeah, this was shared over there. And we also do have a video coming out later today that you did, Guy, in terms of the complete breakdown of what went on here, right?
Yeah. And give that a watch if you want sort of the full details of it, as depressing as they are. I mean, I think this for me, Nick, throws up a couple of questions, and I'd be interested to get your take on this. It's like, first of all, if someone from maybe outside of crypto or just dabbles in crypto, if someone said to me now, Guy, should I put some money in DeFi? I would say no. Like I think, DeFi is one of the great inventions of our time. It's an incredible financial primitive. Like, it really can be so much more than this. But right now, if someone said, should I get involved? I would say no, because there's this decentralization theater going on in a bridge that secured around $333 billion in collateral, relied on one signature. So,
I mean, yeah, the fact that happened is crazy in itself, and that the fact that it was raised by the Aave forum. So I can only hope that we learn from this, but whether new users who haven't been onboarded into crypto, who are considering DeFi at any point, see this and think to themselves, yeah, I'm thinking I want to get an additional 1% annual yield, willing to take on the tail risk of getting all my crypto stolen by North Koreans. I think that they're more than happy to stick out with their bank accounts. So unfortunately, that's the read of it right now. But hopefully we can recover. Hopefully yields pick up again, and DeFi comes back swinging. But yeah, it's just tough. It's tough. Kicks us when you're down.
Yeah. My only other question, therefore, is we know how many steps ahead. We keep getting shown how many steps ahead the North Koreans are. These guys these exploits are so sophisticated. So my question is, is it only a matter of time before we find that some popular crypto protocol that has got billions of dollars, or hundreds of millions maybe locked up in it, has been created and run by North Korea all this time? I know that might sound a bit alarmist, but would you bet against that at this stage, Nick?
Well, I mean, one thing I can say is that all of the hyperliquid traders would be pretty shocked to discover that Jeff Yang may in fact be an agent of North Korea. I mean, maybe that, I don't know. I mean, I don't think that's the case, but if that was the ultimate rug pull in terms of a plan to build a protocol that captured all of crypto's attention and capital, and then they execute the ultimate rug pull, I mean, it would be quite a story. So let's hope not. Just
for the avoidance of doubt there, we are not saying that Hyperliquid or Jeff are in any way associated with North Korea. But I do wonder whether there's some more obscure DeFi protocol out there just quietly just squirreling people's money away, and all the while it's being run by the Lazarus Group. Let's hope that is not the case.
Let's hope not. Anyways, time for some TA with Lewis joining us once again from Thailand.
Charts and trends, he'll show the way. Lewis brings the TA today.
What's going on, guys? Hopefully you're doing as good as the markets are doing. Lots of exciting things happening. First off, let's look at the S&P 500, which is up between 12 and 13% from the lows on March 30th. And why that is so exciting is because if you go to the weekly chart, you could see that we did something called a bearish market structure break, which essentially, actually, it doesn't go there, it goes right there, which means that the price fell below the previous low. And before that, it was just making higher highs, higher lows, higher highs, higher lows, higher highs, higher lows consistently until finally it made a lower low, lower high, and then bam, a lower low compared to this low and also this low. When that happens, typically that's the start of a very, very bearish trend. However, as you could see over the last 3.5 weeks, the price has rocketed up to new all-time highs. And so since this is happening and there doesn't really seem to be any indication of it slowing down, that is super, super bullish for the S&P 500. What that means for Bitcoin, it's definitely more positive for Bitcoin, that's for sure. And so if we go to the Bitcoin chart last week, I was saying, look, we have this giant resistance trend line that has been in place since the very, very top. If you connect the very top in October of 2025 to the next top that happened in January of 2026, all the way to basically right now, if we broke above that, then we would head up, and my guess is that we're going to be heading up to the 61.8 golden ratio, which is around $83,000 to $84,000. And so that's what happened. We broke above it, and now we're on our way up. We're having a little bit of retrace, but that's to be expected in times like these. So now that that's played out, this moving down is not in the books anymore. And obviously, like, anything could happen. We could just turn over from here. But personally, I don't think that that's the case. I'm still going to stick with my longs and look for 83 to 84K to be shorting the market. Maybe I'll take some off the table a little bit before that, maybe like 78, 79. But overall, I think the market is looking pretty good. And you have the S&P 500 backing it up, which is also pretty good. So the way that I'm thinking of taking advantage of this as a strategic trader is to look back at coins that did very, very well during the last bull market and just seeing if they're in what could potentially be an accumulation zone, and then just buying some here, hopefully hoping for a breakout to the upside to where I could take some profit. So I want to get in before they break out because Bitcoin already broke out, right? So I'm looking at a few things. Obviously, I mentioned useless, but it's sort of a joke, sort of not. But PopCat was also one of the very biggest gainers of last cycle, and it looks like it's still in an accumulation zone. And, these are meme coins. Anything could happen. And obviously, if you look at the chart, it looks absolutely terrible. You never know, right? It could just continue to do absolutely nothing. But there's a few things that I do want to be looking at this point. There's also this one, it's called Aave, which is like some AI robotics play. Of course, all of these are sort of like fundamentally driven and narrative driven and stuff like that. It's nothing like BTC. But I'm just looking at some other things along with Bitcoin. But obviously, looking at Bitcoin, it doesn't look too bad. However, big picture, just a reminder, I'm still bearish for the big picture. And I do think that if we do come up, even if we end up coming up all the way to 84K, I would not want to be holding it anywhere past that, because I do ultimately think that we're going to come down and the 4-year cycle will play out and we'll, hit our lows in the fourth quarter of this year. So that's my analysis on BTC. One other thing that I might want, one other thing that I do want to mention is that if you look at Solana against BTC, you could see it is at, if I go to the weekly charts, an area where it basically hit a couple times before, and it's not looking too bad. So maybe if there is a pump, you could look for coins against BTC and see where they are, and maybe you could outdo BTC. But it's honestly, it's pretty difficult during bear markets to do that. Typically, you want to just accumulate Bitcoin. So maybe you don't want to gamble on these. But if you're trading and you have set stop losses in place, maybe looking at the Bitcoin pairs could give you a better idea of good places to buy. And I'm looking at Solana. It doesn't seem too bad right now. Of course, you have to do a little bit more analysis with that to really pinpoint your entries and know where your stop losses are. But yeah, I mean, things are looking pretty good. I'm pretty happy. Hopefully nothing crazy happens, right after we post this. Trump doesn't come out with a crazy tweet or anything. But from a technical perspective, I mean, I'm pretty happy. It broke above the big resistance, and we're in an uptrend, making higher highs and higher lows. So I'm just hoping that continues. Maybe if we get a little bit more of a pullback, I'll buy some more. But until then, I'm just going to hold the longs that I have. And with that, I'll send it back to you guys.
Sweet. So short-term bullish on Bitcoin, Popcat, and Aoki. Interesting selection there. And potentially Sol outperforming Bitcoin in the short term as well.
He's
not
just
not
happy
long.
because he's back in Thailand.
Yeah, I saw some of the comments. It's like fresh Lewis. You can see Lewis looks young. Where did yeah, someone here. Look, here we go. I mean, look how fresh and young King Louis looks. Lewis looks back. He's arrived in Thailand. So yeah, he's in his element, guys. He's in his element.
Delighted for you, Lewis. Okay, let's take a look at some tweets of the week, shall we?
Let's do it, go.
Okay.
This is a good one. This is a good one to discuss. Basically, this Donald, he says, one thing I've learned over my years in crypto is that scammers always get what they deserve. You go down that route, the only thing that awaits you is misery. You might be happy in the short term, but long term, you're cooked, though. As someone that doesn't scam, that's comforting. So, what do you think, Guy? Do you think that's true?
Yes, I would say so. I think probably, it's this idea that these scammers will always kind of be looking over their shoulder, won't they? And especially, I guess maybe if you're a scammer active in crypto and you know that the blockchain record of what you've been up to is there for all time, that there is a chance that one day that knock could come on your door. I think I would be interested, though, to get the perspective of a Mr. Kim, resident in Pyongyang, North Korea, because he seems to have scammed a lot of people and seems okay with it.
Well, I mean, unfortunately, the guy can't really travel internationally, can he? Like, it's not like he can go and visit the US visa free, or like when apply for a US visa. I think he'd struggle for that. So even for Kim Jong, the most infamous scammer, fraud, or whatever you want to talk it in terms of like crypto fraud, it struggle. I tend to agree with Don here. I think it's there's the question also in terms of ethically how you feel in terms of your conscience of having scammed someone. But then there's the point exactly in terms of you, for the rest of the time, have to walk around and have eyes in the back of your head, and not just potentially for law enforcement, which are very sophisticated, and they'll be able to find you maybe 5-6 years down the line. Many people who have scammed in the past, blockchain tools get better, they will come back and get you. But also, when you're scamming people, you don't know who you're scamming because it's all anonymous. So you may be scamming someone who's a pretty dangerous chap, and people have a tendency to find people if they want, and that's also it. So you can't really enjoy that. You can't enjoy a life of luxury like that. So yeah, it's not worth it.
Hey, karma catches up with everyone in the end.
Yeah.
So the scammers will get their just desserts one day. Yes, good talking points from Donald there. Okay, next up we have this one. Polymarket. New analysis reveals Brits thought the UK ranked 7th against US states in income per person. It actually ranked 51st.
How does that feel, Guy? Louisiana is doing better than you guys than your fellow countrymen per capita.
It's pretty, it's a little bit depressing. I guess, but even most US states are sort of several times the size of the UK just in land area. So, I mean, that's something of an excuse. But not easy being a Brit at the moment. Britain's self-confidence is very much in the toilet. Yeah. I think we might be about to jettison another prime minister before too long. So, it's tough out there on the scepter dial.
Yeah, I can understand, man.
Yeah.
Anyways, next tweet, guys. Yeah, this is true. I mean, how can anyone actually trade this market, right? I mean, doesn't not just in crypto, but anybody trade anything of any description with headlines like this? I mean, literally with Trump and the Iranians and the war and false information, fake news, lies coming literally every single 20 minutes. How do you even trade these markets?
I wonder. I'd love to have been a fly on the wall in some traders, in some traders' offices when they saw the picture that Trump posted of himself as Christ or as God or whatever it was supposed to be. I'm just looking at it going like, what does this mean? How do I trade this? Is this good for oil?
Does this mean he's basically the end of all now, or does this mean you can be graced with the graciousness of Trump? He's going to be conciliatory. Who knows? I mean, the only thing more scary than that was apparently yesterday. It was Sunday. Yeah. Yesterday or the day before, he posted who's the artist? Frank Sinatra. I Did It My Way. That song, and that song is it's pretty ominous, the final curtain kind of stuff. And Trump posted that, and people were like, bro, what's going on here?
Yeah. My Way is you'll be unsurprised to hear the most popular song at funerals, apparently. Certainly in the UK.
Next week he's going to play, what's that? I can't remember the other one. But yeah, I mean, if funeral songs on the eve of wars is not necessarily what we're going to be hearing.
Yeah. Okay, and do we have any other tweets? Oh, yes, Zach XBT.
So this is another... Crypto's had such a bad rap over the past few weeks, man. This is another scandal with Rave token that was accused of massive pump and dump, and essentially insiders coordinated to pump the price of the token. They took out massive longs on it on exchanges, and thankfully the exchanges that this was done on, the CEOs have responded and are taking action, which is good to see. But crazy, more shenanigans.
I mean, I saw this, and I don't know, maybe I've just been in this whole game a bit too long, but I was completely unmoved by the whole thing. I was just like, there we are, another scam pump. Like, it is bad, and the whole place would be better off without it. But I was just like, well, what did anyone think? Was anyone buying that on fundamentals? Was anyone being like, oh no, this could be the next Ethereum? Or whatever? It's just like, come on, it's a scam, and it's a scam. So if you get involved,
you deserve it, man, honestly.
Caveat at all.
And finally, this is one from Jeff Park, and it's interesting that someone's put a Google a Google review of the timings for the Strait of Hormuz. It's closed on Saturdays and Sundays, guys. But can't go. Unfortunately, if you want to go and do a quick, buy some oil on the weekend, you run out of your oil. You want to pop into the Persian Gulf through the Strait of Hormuz. You can't do it on the weekends; it's closed. I would love to see what the review is. The one review is.
Came here on a Saturday, complete waste of time.
I got fired on by drones.
The IRGC were not friendly. Yeah, apparently an old
customer service.
An old dude just pulls a chain across it on Friday evening, and then pulls it back the other way on Monday.
Didn't tell me where the mines were placed.
Parking was terrible as well. Okay, so any dates for the diary, Nick?
Wednesday, we've got that ceasefire deadline, which we were all talking about. It looks like it potentially could get extended. There seems some positive overtures being coming through the news wire right now, so keep an eye on that. And then Thursday, we've got the initial jobless claims.
Okay. Bit of data to watch there. Otherwise, relatively quiet week. That's probably for the best, because I'm sure it won't be quiet on the macro front. And given the trajectory of April so far, we'll probably have another DeFi exploit to digest as well. But fingers crossed. Fingers crossed. That's it for this month, at any rate.
Please, we need a break, guys. Yeah.
Yeah. I'll leave it with this comment here. There will be more hacks this year, all supported by AI and social engineering. That's unless Claude Mythos Preview can save us all and identify where all the bugs are. So there's nothing left to exploit. But yeah, the social engineer. I didn't get a sense that there was any social engineering involved with the with this latest KelpDAO hack, but I mean, maybe we'll find that there.
We don't know how they got access to this, LayerZeros or whatever those nodes are. So who knows? Yeah. They could have been wining and dining the LayerZero team at a crypto conference, at the after party. Hello.
Turns out they just cold called them. Hello, we need access to your RPC nodes. RPC nodes, yeah. Okay, I think that's it for today, Nick. Great to see you. Thank you, everyone, for joining us. Thank you for watching. We'll be back same place, same time next week.
Guy, you lied to me. Nick is not dressed in a tiger onesie. Louise is currently in an Emma Cage fight. I watched the Bone Temple over the weekend. Nick, you were fantastic as Sir Jimmy. I Satoshi, no, I am Satoshi, and so is my wife. Satoshi is Nick.
Louise is Satoshi.
We are all Satoshi. I Satoshi, no, I am Satoshi, and so is my wife. Satoshi is Nick.
Louise is Satoshi.
We are all Satoshi.
Now, Mr. Park, the interview has gone very well so far. You're technically able and you have a good fit with our organization as well. But I have one final question to ask you, and that is, can you please say Mr. Kim Jong-un is a piece of shit?
I'm sorry? What was that?
Sorry, was there a connection issue? Can you please say that Kim Jong-un is a piece of shit?